Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. Welcome to Lady Khadija radiallahu anha. May God be pleased with her online college. Today's lesson is A-Level Maths Year 1, Pure Maths, and we are looking at expanding double brackets. Let's begin. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. So starting off nice and easy, nice and simply, we have y plus 5 being multiplied by y plus 2. So in the middle of these two brackets, you have to imagine there's a multiplication sign. And the easiest way to do this kind of multiplication, if you can get into the habit of doing this, it'll make harder questions much easier for you, is if you can imagine that you're covering up one or two of the items, so you're just leaving one thing visible. So imagine you're covering up everything, so you're leaving just one thing visible. So now what you can see is that y is being multiplied. Remember, there's an invisible time sign here. So y is being multiplied by the y. And then again, back to the beginning, we have to do y times the 2. So if we try to just keep that picture in mind, I'm focusing on the y. So I'm doing y times y. And the same y has to then carry on until you've times everything in the other bracket. So doing the first multiplication, y times y, that would make y squared. And then doing the second multiplication, we've got y times 2, which would be 2y. Since that's positive, we'll put a plus before it. And that's all the multiplications with the y done. So now the next thing is you take the piece of card or whatever you were using to cover up, and this time you cover up something else. So now moving that card along, we can see that I've got 5 to multiply. So the 5 has to be multiplied again by everything in the other bracket. 5 times the y and 5 times the 2. So let's do that now. And the reason why this is a good technique is because sometimes at GCSE you're limited to two terms in each bracket, whereas A-level you're going to have quite long brackets, so you have to get used to this method so that you can apply the multiplication even if there's 3 or 4 items here. So 5 times the y, that makes 5y, so we can add on 5y, and then 5 times the 2 makes 10, so we can add on 10. And just take a quick scan of your answers and see, is there anything you can simplify? You've got 2y and then you've got 5y a bit later on, so that can be combined to 7y, so we can just replace that with 7y. And that is the simplified form. So y squared plus 7y plus 10, and that is your final answer. That's the key technique today. If you understand this one technique, then you'll have done very well. So let's just go through that one more time, but just a bit faster. So when you see the double brackets, you got to imagine a time sign in between. You've got to try and cover up one of the terms, so focus on just one term. So you got the y, and you got to times everything else by that y. So y times y times the 2. So write those answers down, and then shift your focus onto whatever's left, or shift along. So you got 5 times the y, 5 times the 2, and then just see if anything simplifies, and that is your answer done. Okay, you take a look at the next one and see if you can try to use the same technique before I do it. So this is x minus 2y times x squared plus 1. Try to think of the technique that we're going to be using. Okay, so as before, if you just get something that you can just cover up everything, so I'm going to cover up the minus 2y. So I've got x times x squared, that's x cubed, and x times the 1, which is just x. So let's write those down. I've got x times x squared, that's going to be x cubed, and I've got x times the 1, and that's just going to be 1x or just x. I'll stick to x, so plus x. And now take that piece of card, and then you're using the same technique as before, and you're saying, okay, well, what's my next focus now? So the next focus would be the minus 2y. Take your time here. You've got minus 2y times the x squared and minus 2y times the 1. So when we do the first multiplication, that's going to be minus 2x squared y minus 2x squared y. Let's put the square in. And have a think of the last term, which is the minus 2y times the 1, and that is going to be minus 2y. Okay, have a quick scan. Is there anything that can be simplified? Here all the terms are different, then there's no like terms, so we can just leave as that x cubed plus x minus 2x squared y minus 2y. So I'm just going to tidy up that x squared, and that's the answer. Okay, good. Ready for the next example, which looks like a single bracket. We've got x minus y, and that's squared. So the way to handle this is to remember the original meaning of squared is the bracket is that it's being times by itself. So really this question is x minus y timesing by itself, which is x minus y. So then use the same technique as before. I've got x times x, I've got the x times the minus y, I've got the minus y times the x. Notice the minus goes with the y, and it's minus y times minus y. So let's do the x first. So x times x would be x squared. I'll put the squared sign in a second. Then the x times the minus y, that's minus xy. Let's put the x squared in. Now shift your attention to the y. This is minus y, so minus y times x is going to be minus xy. And then finally, see if you can think minus y times minus y. So two minuses make a plus, so it's going to be plus y squared. Have a scan through to see if there's anything that can be combined, and you should spot the minus xy that can be combined to minus 2xy. So minus xy times minus xy, and then another minus xy can be minus 2xy. So minus 2xy. Okay, hopefully everything's clear so far. And the final example today, so this is the one really where you are going to need the technique. So it's x plus y multiplied by 3x minus 2y minus 4. So notice you don't really get these in GCSE, so you do get them in A level. So focus first on the x. Imagine that you had a little bit of card and you were just covering up this, so all you can see is the x, and what's happening is that the x has to times everything in the other bracket. So we're going to do that. So let's focus in on the x, and x times 3x, that's going to be 3x squared. Okay, that was from the x times the 3x. So then the next would be x times the minus 2y. So that's going to be minus 2xy. And then the final one is going to be the x times the minus 4. So minus 4x. And then continue, but this time shift focus to the y. So I've got y times 3x plus 3xy. I've got the y times the minus 2y, which is minus 2y squared. That came from the y times the minus 2y, minus 2y squared. Just have a think of what the last one is going to be. So I've got y times minus 4, which is minus 4y. So as long as you do it like that in order, you will not go wrong. And then the second thing is just see is there anything that can simplify. Looks like we've got minus 4x, but no other minus 4x. So we can't combine that with anything, but we can move it across. Because if I move that out of the way, you'll see I've got a plus 3xy, which can combine with the minus 2xy. And that would make minus 2xy plus the 3xy would make plus xy, plus 1xy. And just tidying up, final answer is 3x squared plus xy minus 4x minus 2y squared minus 4y. Join me again for more on simplifying algebra in the next lesson on Monday. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Peace be with you and the mercy and blessings of God.